Bitch, please! My scale is a liar, and not a cute little oops, I miscalculated liar. I mean a full-blown confident stand on it twice make you question your entire existence, liar. Oh, I think you just jacked my back. I don't even know, Jack. Welcome back to the chaos, besties. Oh, if you're new here, hi, I'm the Carnivore Witch, Drea. I eat meat, I mind my business, and apparently I'm in a toxic relationship with a digital number on the floor. I respectfully acknowledge any holiday or special occasion happening today, respectfully. And now we address the betrayal, because I deserve answers. I do. Let me tell you what happened. I woke up this morning feeling good. Not fake good, not delusional good, real good. Like I slept well, like my body felt lighter, like my face looked less like what happened last night and more, we're trying, that feeling. That quiet confidence, that little internal voice that says something is working, and I believed it. That was my first mistake, because I decided to step on the scale. Now let's pause right here, because stepping on the scale is never just stepping on the scale. That is an emotional event. That is a commitment. That is you saying, I'm ready to receive information that I may or may not be emotionally equipped to handle. And I thought I was ready. I really did. So I stepped on the scale and I wait, because there's always that little delay, the dramatic pause, like it's calculating your worth. And then the number pops up. And I look at it. And I blink. And I blink again and I look at it again. And I say, that's not right. Because that number did not match my reality. It did not match my effort. It did not match my vibe. And most importantly, Dusty, it did not match my expectations. And that's when it becomes a problem. Because now I'm standing there having a disagreement with an object. And the object is very confident. The scale didn't hesitate. It didn't stutter. It didn't say maybe. It said, that is what it is. And I said no, because I reject that. I reject that information. I reject that energy. I reject that version of reality. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I stepped off and got back on, because clearly it made a mistake. Well, we all make mistakes, even machines. So I give it a second chance. I step back on. Same number. Now we have a problem, because once is a glitch, twice is disrespect. And now I'm looking at the scale like, who told you that? Where did you get that information? Because I have been doing better. I have been making different choices. I have been showing up. And you're telling me none of that matters? Now let's talk about this. Because the scale only measures one thing. Weight! That's it. It doesn't measure your effort, your consistency, your mindset, your discipline, your emotional growth, your healing, your restraint, your awareness, your identity shift. It doesn't see any of that. It just gives you a number, and somehow we've been trained to let that number define everything. How we feel about ourselves, how we judge our progress, how we decide if we're doing good or failing. And that's wild, because that number doesn't know you. It doesn't know what you've been through. It doesn't know what you've changed. It doesn't know what you've overcome. It just shows up with an opinion and expects you to accept it. And I'm not doing that anymore, because I've done that before. I've let the scale ruin my entire day. I've let it take one moment and turn it into a full emotional spiral. I've let it convince me that nothing I was doing mattered. And that's not truth. That's distortion. Because progress is not always visible in numbers. Sometimes it's visible in behavior. Sometimes it's visible in choices. Sometimes it's visible in the fact that you didn't do what you used to do. And that matters. That counts. That is progress, even if the scale doesn't recognize it. And I had to remind myself of that, standing there on that bathroom floor in a full silent argument with a rectangle. Because I refused to let something that limited define something that complex. Because I'm not a number. I'm a process. I'm a progression. I am a series of decisions stacked over time. And that doesn't show up instantly. It builds slowly, quietly, consistently. And that's what I'm focused on now. Not the number, the pattern. Because if I fix the pattern, the number will follow. But if I chase the number, I'll lose the pattern. And I've done that before. And I'm not going back. So yeah, my scale is a liar. Not because the number is false, but because it's incomplete. And I refuse to base my entire reality on incomplete information. All right, messy besties. I love you guys. Gosh, I love you guys. If you made it this far, drop a scale emoji down in the comments. It tells me you stayed for all the magic. Please like this video. Okay? Give it a like. So the algorithm will then share it with those who might need to hear it. And share it with your friends on other socials. You know, they might be able to use a good dose of some witchy poo comedy today. And as always, I tell you witches, I love you, messy bestie. If no one told you today they love you, then no, I told you first. Stay strong, stay messy, but don't forget your magic. I may be the witch, but you are the magic. I'll see you tomorrow, bestie.